You scroll past the name 3 times before you admit you miss them. Your thumb hovers over it for half a second, then it moves on. No argument happened, no goodbye either. So what do you call losing someone who is still alive? This is Mr. Wrong. He saw an old photo. 4 guys, arms around each other, laughing at something none of them will ever remember. Mr. Wrong doesn't remember the joke either, but he remembers how it felt to have somewhere to be every single day, and someone waiting for him when he got there. He hasn't spoken to any of them in 6 years. No fights, no falling out, just silence that built itself one skipped reply at a time. Mr. Wrong used to have a life full of people. You had a group once too. Maybe not 4, maybe 6 or 2, or a whole loud table at lunch you never had to think twice about joining. It felt permanent. It felt like oxygen. You didn't manage it. You didn't schedule it. It was just there. And now you sit with your phone in your hand scrolling past names that used to mean everything, wondering how a life that once felt so full learned how to feel this quiet. 6 reasons friendships fade as you get older, and the last one is the one that actually explains why it hurts more than it should. You start telling yourself the easy story. You got busy, life happened, people change, and all of that is true. And none of it is the real answer. Here's what nobody tells you. Friendship in childhood was never something you built. It was something that was handed to you. Same classroom, same hallway, same lunch table, day after day, whether you tried or not. You weren't good at friendship back then. You were just standing in the right place at the right time over and over until closeness became unavoidable. Mr. Wrong didn't realize this until the year after college, sitting in a new apartment, in a new city, waiting for his phone to feel the way it used to. It didn't ring. Nobody was walking down the hall to grab him for lunch anymore. For the first time in his life, closeness required an invitation, and he didn't know how to send one. That's the shift nobody prepares you for. As a kid, proximity did the work. As an adult, you have to do the work proximity used to do for free. 1 down. Number 4 is the one that actually explains the ache. Stay with this. Here's a number that should stop you for a second. Some researchers estimate it takes somewhere around 200 hours together before a stranger becomes a real friend. 200 hours. Think about how many of those you used to burn without noticing. Just sitting in the same room doing nothing in particular. Adulthood doesn't hand you 200 free hours anymore. It hands you a job, a partner, a commute, a body that's tired by 9, and somewhere in the space where 200 hours used to accumulate on their own, there's just nothing. A gap. Where a friendship used to grow itself. You didn't lose your friends overnight. You lost the hours that used to build them. Mr. Wrong thought about calling one of them once, actually picked up the phone, then thought, it's been so long, what would we even talk about? And put it back down. That's not laziness. That's a person standing at the edge of 200 missing hours and not knowing how to close a gap that big in a single phone call. 2 down. Here's the one that quietly reshapes everything else. It explains why the people you kept aren't random. You'd think losing friends means something is wrong. Most of the time, nothing is wrong. Something got quieter, on purpose, even if you never chose it consciously. As life goes on, people become more selective about where their energy goes. Not colder, just more careful with something they finally understand is limited. You stop wanting 15 people who kind of know you. You start wanting 3 who actually do. This is where Mr. Wrong noticed something strange. He didn't miss all 4 of them equally. He missed one. The one who used to sit with him in silence and somehow make it feel like company. The other 3 faded, and it barely registered. That one name still stops his thumb on the screen. That's not random. That's your mind quietly deciding, somewhere underneath your awareness, who was actually worth the 200 hours and who was just there because the room was. 3 down. The next one is the big one. It's the reason every friendship group eventually splits, even the good ones. Somewhere in your 20s or 30s, without a single argument, the group starts moving at different speeds. One gets married, one gets a promotion, one moves cities, one stays exactly where he's always been. And suddenly the thing that used to hold you together, being at the same stage of life, quietly stops being true. You don't grow apart from people. You grow at different speeds, in different directions. And one day you look up and the distance between you did the growing apart for you. Mr. Wrong watched this happen to his group in real time and didn't understand it until years later. He thought someone had changed for the worse. Nobody had. They just changed toward different lives, at different paces. The way 4 trees planted in the same yard end up leaning toward completely different patches of sun. 4 down. Here's what it actually costs you when you don't notice this happening. It's not the missed calls. It's not the group chat that went quiet. It's the version a few that would have existed if those friendships had stayed as full as they once were. Every unanswered message felt like nothing at the time. Small, forgivable, but small things compound. A missed call becomes a missed year. A missed year becomes a stranger wearing a familiar face in an old photograph. That's the real cost, not one dramatic loss. A slow accumulation of tiny, forgivable moments that quietly built a stranger out of someone who used to know everything about you. 2 lessons left. This next one is the one that finally explains the ache you can't put into words. Here's something almost nobody says out loud. There's a kind of grief with no name for it. No funeral, no ritual. No one shows up with food when a friendship quietly ends. The person is still alive, still reachable, still one message away, and somehow still completely gone. Mr. Wrong feels this most on ordinary nights, not when something reminds him of them on purpose, but when something reminds him by accident. A song, a street, the specific way someone laughs in a crowded room, close enough to the way his old friend used to laugh that his chest tightens before his mind even catches up. That ache isn't proof that something's wrong with you. It's proof that something once mattered enough to still hurt when it's gone. People don't grieve things that meant nothing. 5 down, here's the last one. It's the one that changes how you carry all of this. You've been taught that a good person keeps everyone, that real friendship should survive anything, and if it doesn't, somebody failed. That belief is why you keep replaying the ending, looking for the moment you did something wrong. But most friendships were never built to be permanent. Some people are only meant to walk with you through a single season. That doesn't make the season smaller. It doesn't make it a failure. It just makes it what it actually was. A chapter, not a life sentence. Mr. Wrong finally put his phone down that night without sending the message. Not because he stopped caring, because he finally understood that silence wasn't an accusation. It was just 2 people who once mattered to each other, standing on opposite ends of a distance that time built one quiet day at a time. You don't have to fix that distance to make peace with it. You just have to stop mistaking it for proof that you failed. Some friendships end, some fade, and the ones that were real never needed to last forever to have counted. Some friendships become memories, some become lessons. If this one reminded you of both, subscribe to Mr. Wrong for more stories about the parts of life we all feel but rarely talk about.